have freezers, they put all this fish in the and they don't really care because they're just going to go out and fish some more. So I threw it all away. Just left it in the freezers. It was
That's terrible.
maggots. Y'all throwing up.
Hello, welcome back to Chill Out Adventure. I'm Les.
And I'm Adam. I'm John.
And I'm Rich.
Rich.
Rich. Excuse me.
Yeah. Hey, great to have you. Thanks. Been a minute since I've seen you.
Oh, yeah. A few.
Yeah. But looking
Good.
good. Thank you. Glad to have you.
I've been poking at Rich for a while to get him onto the podcast, and he says, "Yeah, I'll do it."
Yeah,
And
I'll
he
do
kind of gives you the, "I'm not available right now." No, not today. So we finally dragged him in here.
This is not something I normally.
You don't like the spotlight.
So here you are.
I always let you take the spotlight.
It's funny because Adam's been prodding you for a long time to come on, and you're like, no. When I called you, here you are.
Yeah, there you are.
They just took the less is out.
Less is more.
Yep.
More or less.
More or less. So, Rich, we obviously know who you are. We've got some background. I know who you are. We have a relationship, a familiar relationship, but a lot of our folks who might be tuning in have no idea who you are. So, give us your background. Well, how did you get started in the industry? And
Okay.
I mean,
I was a contractor, just like a lot of people out there, heating and cooling in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and
so a lot of heating.
a lot of heating, a little bit of cooling. Actually, we did a lot of refrigeration work because we worked for Steelcase, which is right across the parking lot. And they had us go in and do all kinds of stuff. So we were kind of a medium to heavy mechanical. Didn't do a whole lot of residential. But anyway, I worked there for quite a while, became a partner, and then 1992 came along when they decided that refrigerant was a bad thing. And it became a real issue for all contractors, trying to figure out how to comply.
Mm-hmm.
We had to get tanks. We had to get recovery machines. We had to teach all the technicians. They all had to get certified, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, I was part of the ABC contracting group, and they asked me to be on a committee to help figure this out. So I kind of became the resident expert. It's funny because here I am working at a phone company, and I'd have people calling from our competitors saying, "What are you going to do about this? What are you going to do about that?" So finally, I decided there was a market for someone who could help contractors get legal.
Mm.
And they seemed to think so too. So I decided to sell my part of the business and started a company called Refrigerant Management Services.
I'm sporting your gear. This is from my way back. I don't really fit in this. This has been the joke of the morning. Like painted on right now. I think the last time I wore this was 18 years old. So
It didn't paint. It's not paint. It's AI.
it's
I can't say I overlay.
yeah, it's a lot.
Hold on. Yeah. Put it down.
Tristan, can you fix me today? Anyway, so yeah, this is the original RMS. Sorry, I had to do it. So I will be taking it off as soon as I can if it doesn't tear.
So yeah, that's a way back. That was back in 90. Was it 95? We actually started.
You started in 94. Well, I was helping you. I don't know if you were started or not, but in 94. It was the summer of 94, and I was feeding fish and driving the forklift.
Yep. So yeah, obviously Adam didn't work for me.
Yeah, it was heavy on the place. I don't know. Learning out electricity. What not to do.
He didn't feel about. And
We had learned about MAP.
learn about that.
Yeah, you learned about MAP, about all the checks that came in versus all the checks get.
Oh yeah. It was one of my favorite parts of the whole deal. You go to the post office during like lunch every week, or I don't know if it was every week, but in my memory, every week,
No,
and we'd pick up all the mail, and on the way, I mean, Rich was really shockingly open with a 14-year-old, and he would let me like go through the mail, and I'd be like, all right, and like, well, what do we got? And of course, he's sitting there driving, going, got that check. But he's like, what do we got? And I'm like, I got this one. all right, well, let's open it. And I'd open it and it'd be some huge bill, and he'd be like, "Ooh, that's on the minus." He's like, and we'd be like, "Hey, did we make money this week?" And it's also it was fun.
Yeah, so you open all the checks, and go, wow. And then I'd say, okay, now open all the bills. You had them all. See which came out ahead. Because the checks never came out.
Times like that, I have to order up the television.
Wait a minute, I didn't put that together. We're not making any money. Oh, can we get another fish? Can we get another fish?
So yeah, that was how we started out. That was in Michigan, and Michigan had really hard winters, and it was hard to run a refrigeration type support business in the winter in Michigan. So I had bought some equipment, I'd done low pressure, and I had used a broker to buy it. And he had a guy in California that, or in Arizona, that he had also sold one to. So he used him as a reference. So I called this guy in California, and we got to chatting and going, Michigan, Arizona.
One of those.
Chatting, going back and forth. And he said, commented one time, I mean, we had several conversations, but he commented one time that if I could get out of this, I would. And I'm sitting in Michigan twiddling my thumbs because there's 4 feet of snow on the ground. And I said, if you're serious, I'm going to get on a plane. He goes, I guess I'm serious. So I flew out to Arizona. We're going to came to an agreement to have another branch in Arizona. It was also RMS. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. So we had 2 branches, and it was cool because I was living in Michigan and came to live in Arizona and went back and forth. I became a snowbird. I wasn't that old enough to be retired. But believe me, I wasn't retired. I was working my butt off. But anyway, the Michigan branch stayed, and they became our equipment manufacturing.
You were 36.
Did you just figure that out?
I did. You were 36 or 37 when that happened.
You said you knew the numbers.
I wasn't. You got it wrong.
Anyway, so I had a guy managing it in Michigan with Keith Klein, and he was a great guy.
Yeah, I like Keith.
And
Keith, if you're out there,
he loved to use Adam. He would shrink wrap Adam to a half-ton tank.
Put on a forklift.
Do you have
Put
any
him in
photos
the
of that?
parking lot.
this happened to me on several occasions. My left has memories of it.
That's maybe
If you look at the size of the shirt I'm wearing, that's how small I was at the time, skinny wise. I wasn't strong enough to fight off all these big dudes. They just made
Had
them.
a bunch of guys in the manufacturing side of it who were pretty hefty.
Apparently, I was a little mouthy, and so this was their solution.
So Adam stayed on there as the recovery tech for them. And, whenever we needed help, somebody else would go out, but mostly it was building equipment. So anyway, RMS concept was we had what looked like snap food trucks. So they're about that size and shape. And they had their equipment inside, and we would go out to the contractors and on site and see their cylinders. And we quickly discovered that what was in the cylinders was not what they said was in the cylinders, was not what was in the cylinder. So ultimately, we ended up putting a gas chromatograph on each one of the trucks so that they could test the refrigerant before they actually transferred it in the tank. This is critical because if you don't know what's in it and you put it in the tank of perfectly good, say 22, which is what we dealt with mostly at the time, then you ruin the 22. Because there was no way for us to get the 134A or 12 22 once you put it in there. So we'd pre-test all the cylinders and used a gas chromatograph. It was a difficult thing because it took some training. They're sensitive pieces of equipment to drive it around the truck all day long.
yeah.
Not very good. We had generators on there so we keep it hot all the time. You don't want to have to reheat it every time you stop.
So for those that don't know, because I think we're going into a place where not a lot of people are familiar with. This is the coolest part of my job, by the way. Coming out with a little needle, you put the nipple on the tank, you open up the liquid side, you pull a sample, and then you import it into the computer on your truck. That was the coolest part of the whole
These
job.
are doctors of
It was.
refrigerant.
And people would come out and just stare at you. And then we had the old printers, remember?
Yeah, the dot matrix with the multi-part paper.
Yeah. And people would just come out and then you could just rip that thing off and slam it in front of them. And, it was pretty cool, man. Back in that time, that was great. It was leading edge.
It's a couple things. It's amazing that it held up.
Yeah, that
Right.
too.
We're giving
Phoenix
us time and
Summers
this
and-
thing keep going, and then we test, and everything is just so that held together driving down all
yeah.
the roads, especially all the.
We had less drives.
So yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
So now those is busy cab overs, right?
Driving on the shoulder, 80 miles an hour past the semis. That GC still held on.
Yeah. So
Adam didn't.
just so people understand exactly what you're talking about. This isn't like some little thing. This was back then. This was a big deal.
Yeah.
Expensive deal.
I mean, at some point, you had built custom racks. So you had this like steel rack frame, and then on top was the GC, and it was like this 18-inch by 18-inch by like 12-inch high box. And then that connected to the computer, which was, again, the old school computer. I remember when we finally got like some form of internet on the truck. So you could actually like enter stuff in and like communicate, right?
Yep.
We were Nextel heavy, but anyway, you'd have this GC, but the needle thing was crazy.
Yeah, that's cool.
It was, everyone was super impressed. Then you had guys like Les and some of these guys who would like figured out how to like, if I wait 3 minutes, I can double inject.
Yep,
and I'll
that's
know,
right.
so you can double the speed.
That's right.
Because you have people standing there watching you.
Yeah.
You're like, all right, cool. Now you got to hold their attention to talk to them for like 8 minutes
For each
for
test.
each test. That's how long it took to test every cylinder.
Yep.
Or 6, whatever it was. It was a long time ago. I don't remember.
That was really
Yeah.
cool that you came up with that though, because that was my favorite part of the job. Was just to get out there and shoot each one.
There's something about the whiz bang for the customer. They
Get
come out to
validated.
the truck and see, and they would be impressed by the fact that you put all that together and made it work.
Yeah.
And this is an instrument that normally sits inside of a laboratory.
Right.
Young. Yeah, you walk in now. It's like a big lab area. Now we're running back on trucks and we're in 20
You
degrees.
pinch the end of the needle to like make sure you lose the gas on the way to the stick it in the.
Yeah.
Oh, that
Because
brings up
the
good times.
chemistry, I'll say like you got photographs kind of at an angle. Wonder if it's
Weird.
still gonna work.
Right.
Amazing.
Apparently they don't care. You're
Fixing
tipping on our side.
this thing to its paces.
So yeah, that was the concept of around the truck, and you put refrigerant finished goods on it so that you could pellet finished goods. And we tried selling tools and hoses and
Yellow
fuse and
jackets.
all that stuff. Yellow jackets.
Yeah.
stuff.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
We need to try it.
It was hard. It was a hard pedal. So
Yeah.
Well, we said we did the valve swaps in the parking lots, so they had bad valves in their tanks. We
Mhm.
swap those out.
yeah,
Get their tanks right
I've got
again.
stories. I've got stories.
It's so funny.
Take the whole thing, and then back to the right after those are wondering, we always had a sample, so we could always test to make sure that the gas chromatograph was accurate. We had a clean sample that we could use to test the refrigerant.
Man, by the time I was doing it, I was like, I didn't have a sample anymore. Like you just knew. Like, I mean, you did it. So like, and nobody was going to sit there and wait for you.
Yeah.
So when
Yeah, but asking would be like, well, this is a brand new, like, you
Yeah.
just take it and do it right there and say, hey, this is this one, this is this
yeah,
one.
I would do that with disposables. Like you
Mhm.
do it.
Yeah.
One of the things that came on those trucks, I know we're totally. I want to get to some other stuff here at the end, or we might have to do a whole other session. But one of the coolest things about those trucks was, and the conversation was when they came in to see the GC thing happening, you would start up the transfer pumps with these recovery machines that sat on another shelf with cylinders underneath. At least that's the trucks I drove. I mean, less on a Isuzu style thing.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different, and so you would start those up and you'd start recovering all these disposables because as long as they were the green valve ones, you knew that somebody couldn't have stuffed gas in there and crossed it.
Right.
If there was a black valve ones, then back then you could have, they didn't have check valves originally.
Right.
That you could get
Oh, no.
across them. So we would suck them out. I would do that while we're talking and doing GCs on the 50s, the recovery cylinders.
Mhm.
And then we had this later, like we had this cam crusher in the back. And so you talk about whiz. When you said that was
Well, it's
I'm sorry, I get really excited.
because he's mentioning transfer pumps, and I'm like, yeah, I start with 4 scavengers.
The Scavenger was one of the original recovery machines.
It's out. They're manufactured here in Arizona.
Yeah.
Were they? Yeah, it
Yeah,
is.
built from scratch here in Arizona.
Yeah. And
To address the problem that nobody had any equipment.
Well, back then they were using what compressors out of? I think you were telling us they used to use
They would
compressors
use
out of
refrigerator.
refrigerator compressors.
yeah,
They would gut a refrigerator
Yeah.
and like build they were all tin knockers.
Mhm.
So they would go like build a box out of metal ductwork basically with a more solid pan and then or the pan off the refrigerator.
It was really interesting because when this all started, most people that wanted to get into something involved with this in a business decided to build recovery machines.
Mhm.
And there were like 300 different recovery machines out there. Everybody in their, in their garage thought, I can do that. They built the recovery machine. And after like 5 to 10 years, but eventually it all got whittled down to where there were only a handful.
Yeah, they were all pretty bad. I mean, really. I mean, they were all pretty bad.
ones. Yeah, Scavenger did pretty good.
Scavengers were sweet.
Woods.
I thought,
But they're not in business anymore.
No,
I mean,
No.
most of them were.
they did all their initial run.
I found it interesting back then too that even though that was happening, and if I remember the sequencing right it's a long time ago, but then the EPA came out and said, "Wait a minute, you have to have these things tested. You can't just build." At first, it was like you just have to have equipment, and I was like, "No, it has to be special, certified equipment.
Yeah.
You can't just cut your refrigerator up." The first step in building a recovery machine in the early '90s was to vent.
Oh yeah.
Like my wife's got this old fridge in the garage. She doesn't need that. Cut the line, vent the gas. It was like step 1, break law number 1, no vent. Step 2. Anyway, so yeah, it was wild back then. But then also people would build. Like I remember one of the clients I had in West Michigan when I took over that route. They took an old rack out of a small rack in a grocery store, and they put it in a trailer and put a big air cooled condenser on the back of the trailer. So when they opened the door, it was like you go in the side door, and the back door was the whole thing became like the rack was in the middle, but it became like a boxcar contained unit, and they would use that as a recovery machine. And they're like, we can do it way faster than you're like you might be able to, but you got to get 480 volts out to this trailer somehow. You don't, it's how you're going to kill some people with the whole like Widowmaker going to the panel and just jacking in. But also, it's not legal, right? And so
Never was certified.
never certified.
And they were like, we don't care. Us, we're doing it right.
Well, which is funny because I say today, like even now, it's been almost 30 years. And you look at this and you're like, well, actually, it has been 30 years since the 90, 95, whatever.
Mhm.
And so you look at that and you're like, hey, and I'm not suggesting venting is okay. We got to
That's a lot
start
of
with
shit.
that. I know, I got chastised
Yeah.
for it. Made it sound like it was venting is okay. I'm not endorsing that.
Yeah.
But if you're not going to document and you're not going to use legal recovery equipment, why bother?
Yeah.
Because you're still breaking the law. Like the EPA is going to come in and go, hey, you're not recovering it legally. How do we know that your machine didn't leak all over? How do we know that,
It's like selective law following it.
Yeah.
Well, and you can get in as much trouble for using an illegal machine as you can for venting.
Yeah.
So,
Now it's the same fine. Now they might look more harshly if you're just openly using a solid as a recovery machine than while I'm trying. I didn't realize I had to, but either way, the moment that you already are in the conversation with the EPA, you've already lost.
Mm-hmm.
they were doing the chillers and they do this with what I call a buzz box. It's a little way the electric things that you plug into 110, it just wouldn't work. So they had to come up with a solution. At that time, there weren't very many companies building heavy recovery equipment.
Yeah, you got like there's still not very many. You got RefPack, and they built pretty much it.
It's the beginning.
Yeah,
And they built the first machines that could recover at a reasonable rate.
Yeah. and they build good stuff. I mean, like we've seen their stuff, we've messed with their stuff, and they have good equipment. So it's not a bag on RefPack at all. They were basically the only option, and even then, people didn't know. I was curious. You mentioned you bought a reclaim machine, like
A low pressure.
that. This is a whole concept. Like today, is there somebody out there's like selling reclaim equipment? Like
I don't know if there is any. And Steamboat was building the original low pressure reclaim machines. And they did some medium pressure too, but it didn't work very well.
I remember that white box was like tall and kind of narrow, and
I
all
don't remember
panic.
I mean, they actually, somebody else came along and did it again.
Hmm.
But we bought one of those machines and then promptly ripped it all apart and changed it because they weren't very well. But I don't know.
The ripping it. And they just
The whole
Back to
Yeah.
concept and then
Yeah.
discovering that how it worked.
right. So there's a couple of things. There's a lot to cover. We could just keep going on this pace, but there's a couple of things we want to get to, and one of it is separation, right? Um, yeah, you got there. Before we do that, we have a Pierce to talk about. I think white goods and the Florida Keys that
setup that is, you're looking at the three of us. Les, Rich, and I got together in 2002 and fired up Rapid Recovery.
Well, RMS grew to, we had these trucks.
Mhm.
We grew it to how many trucks? 13? All over the
At some point, I thought there were
Weird.
17.
yeah, we were in 8 states.
Open
Yeah,
Florida.
I think we ended up getting into
So the idea was to try and take the concept of the tool truck and
Mhm.
put it in different cities. And that was rolling along pretty well, and we ran out of money. I mean, literally, it was how we're going to make payroll. We had expanded too fast, and the bank wasn't willing to keep up with us. So,
What a familiar story.
yeah, I went to find someone to buy it, and we sold it to
Hudson.
No.
No.
Full circle.
Environmental Circle. Environmental
yeah,
Technology.
yeah.
Sorry, didn't mean to throw that out there. No, it was EDTC, Environmental Technologies Corporation, and their Full Circle division.
Full circle.
Yeah.
So we sold it, and I went to Texas to work for them, and Adam went to work for them. He was in Northern California at the time, right?
Yeah, I was in Grand Rapids, then I went to Chicago for a bit. And then went from Chicago back to Grand Rapids and really didn't have a job. I mean, I was still employed, but wasn't running a route. I'd kind of worked myself out of a job. Part of why I was in Chicago was to fix the route and then find someone. And then we did that, got them in place, got the team set, and I didn't do that all alone, but I was running the route and kind of, handling the customer side of that. And then went back to Michigan. I was like, all right, now what's next? And I eventually had the opportunity to go to California. I was told that we have a problem there. We're working on it, but that's where we see you going. And then there was kind of a gap while working on it, and then exiting someone or whatever it was. I don't even remember. But I wasn't part of that part either in California. So I was in California when the end of that happened.
On the end of RMS.
The end of Full Circle.
Oh, yeah. No,
You
you
and
and
my-
I were over, and we still had the trucks, and they kept adding trucks, and that was pretty cool. But during that time, I think it was a Full Circle. So I went further ahead. Here's someone wants to hear the story about courage. Yeah. So we were trying to find our way into these big jobs where you had disaster relief. And of course, when a hurricane comes in, all of the appliances are destroyed. They just get covered with water and everybody scraps them. So they would move them out, put them on the curb, and the city or the county or whoever, the municipality would come by, pick them up. And we got a contract to go out and recover all these appliances on this big lot. And I was in Florida Keys, so all the way up to the end. And there was water all around us. So we're on this kind of like island driving around, and they just kind of stacked refrigerators alongside of the road. And we went around with a truck and a trailer with recovery equipment on it. And we sucked all the refrigerators out. It's like, I think there were 7,000.
Yeah. Wow. It was
a lot of them.
there was
And-
just two of you.
Even David Water.
Just
One of us suck them out, and the other one would write everything down. So we had these big sheets of paper that we would try and find the model and serial number of the refrigerator, if you can, and then write it down and move on to the next one. So we were recovering basically as fast as we could write them down. It was like we had 4 recovery piercing tools. And you'd put 2 on this one and let it start sucking, and then you put 2 on that one, and then you take 2 off of here and put 2 on the next one.
So you have one guy just fucking, one guy just right.
And cylinders on the back of the trailer to all the refrigerant in.
The most units done on any single job I think that we ever had at Rapid. Like,
Yeah.
I look back, I mean,
It's funny. When they first called, like I was on an elk hunt or something. And so it came through. I had to go out to the road because it came through. I was on a power tower. So I had to go out and make a call. And then
This is the way it usually works with you.
that's right.
it's still true.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah, they were renting an island, right?
Oh, yeah.
And they said, well, and I ended up flying out there to meet with them because he goes, you need to see, and so they were. I remember telling like, that's kind of expensive. I'm like, you want to be off the island at the end of the month or not? You want to pay another month's rent or? And he's like, yeah, okay. I mean, that was real like big driver because I'm like, I guarantee you that we'll have it done.
Yeah, I mean, you guys did it. I think it was like 7 days or 8 days. It was less than 10.
One of us flew out there, and the other one drove out there with the trailer and truck. And then we met at the airport and went out to the Keys. And then when we came back, we went back to the airport, and the other
I think I would have rather driven out and flown back.
Yeah.
That was when I'm done. When you're exhausted.
I think that's what happened.
Ready to go.
Is you flew back, right? And David drove back, or the vice versa?
I think I drove back.
You drive back?
And
You were always, nicer than me.
I don't know. So yeah, it worked out. We got them all done, and we got them all done under time, and we got paid,
Yeah, it was.
which is a big deal. It was a lot of money.
Yeah. Well, it was funny because I remember walking in there, I called them and it'd been like, I don't know, we'd sent them the invoice, right? And like 2 days later, it's like, yeah, check's in the mail. I'm like, really? And so I'm like, all right, great. And I walked in, I think I told both of you, like, it's either the greatest stall tactic in the world because I feel like I'm already like 2 days actually to do the check.
3 days later.
Yeah.
That's one of those instances where Adam opened the envelope and said, "Hey, you actually got check this time."
But yeah, it
was quite the adventure because we got down there and there was no hotel. The bottom main floor, all the hotels got flooded out. So you couldn't find any place to spend the night. And there weren't any restaurants open. Everything was just shut. So it was kind of tricky finding a place to eat and finding a place to sleep.
Within that time frame, they had to complete the job, and I'm sure that was a big logistical problem.
So you're out there and you got all these appliances, a lot of refrigerators and stuff like that. And how many people cleaned them out?
Oh,
Like that's been like, oh, don't bump them.
it's air working, but you got to lie a little bit further and you see one with a rope tied around it.
Oh yeah,
It's like, oh no.
That's Uncle Bob. He's
Get out the gas mask, People figured the junk inside it is garbage anyway, so why not put that out? Curb the rest.
So you guys were way more dedicated than what we required of our team, because the reality is the rules say you have to do a unique identifier. So what we did, and you guys are doing it, you're just going way above and beyond. We had stickers, and every sticker had its own ID, never got repeated.
We put stickers on and wrote down the sticker number, but then alongside of that, we put the make model on if I could get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys were just really good.
After the first rope you cut at each side, we're gonna do that.
GE. Wow. And Imperial. And it.
Mom on the side. I know.
And it's like, you're in the Keys, and these are all fisher people.
Oh.
And the research, they put all this fish that they caught. And they don't really care because they're just going to go out and fish some more. So they threw it all away. Just left it in the fingers. It was.
That's terrible.
Maggots.
I mean, everybody at Rapid who is entitled. Everybody at Rapid's person.
Y'all throwing up.
Everybody has one of these.
Here's the bucket.
It's nice. Kirsten's over there gagging right now.
Come on, you can hold it. It's all right. Whatever you do, don't hit the electronics over there.
We all, everybody in Rapid has stories because we all had landfills. I mean, or scrappers that were a part of our route or cycle or whatever. And so we all have these stories of going in, and like that's why I said you were way more dedicated. The first time I opened one was the last time. I was like, nope, you know what? I'm gonna reroute the regs. Sure enough, I'm complying by doing it. And so we're not doing that anymore. So I literally never. It was always make sticker number, make sticker. That was it. I never ever did the inside again. But you were very dedicated.
We're dedicated.
You were.
We're trying to generate enough paperwork so that we get paid.
Baffle them with yes. Baffle them with something.
Anyway, that was quite the project, and it was quite successful.
Yeah.
We tried several times to get another one like that, but I don't know that we ever did.
We worked on some cars. I don't know if we ever get that one.
Yeah, we do cars.
Yeah, that was crazy because after that was a different hurricane, a whole pile of car. Or no, was it cash for clunkers or a hurricane on that one?
It was
We did
cash for clunkers.
You did too. I know we did on one with a bunch of cars on. I don't think we got that one, but I don't know what they did. But I think it was cash for clunkers when they were doing that. We ended up doing a ton of cars from that. Yeah. So I mean, the Rapid story we fired up in 2002. I think Calhava was probably 2006 or something, maybe
5, I think. I think that was when we read it. And then it took a while. I mean, it was sitting there for a while.
Yeah,
It wasn't. People probably pretty much not going to read it. So, that was a Hurricane Rita job.
Yeah.
So, we did a couple Katrina things, but not that scale.
We had some of those big jobs and then grew that business and kept expanding and we ended up with being one of the largest reclaimers in the country at the time. I think when we at the end, I don't know, when we transitioned, but we were third and then second, and then by the time our transaction was done, we sold to Gas. I don't remember right, second.
yeah, we had a report. As a reclaim, you have to report every year to the EPA how many pounds of each type of refrigerant that you actually reclaim. So that was public knowledge.
Yeah.
You could go on.
Yes, we go back and look.
You know, why is a good wrap point right now? So we covered the RMS and we covered some of the,
Some of the Rapid history.
Houston stuff or, the Hurricane Rita, and you still doing all right?
She wanted
there?
to do this first story. She wanted to hear. She's out there like, yeah, I can go fuck it. So. It was
Yeah. And so, and then we're coming up here, and then you just kind of segued into the how we launched up into being large, significant player in the reclaim side as well as we grew the recovery business. So while we wrap this one up, we'll have Rich back.
We'll do a second part.
Part 2. So, but how's that sound? Everyone good with that?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Why not?
All right. Thank you for joining us on Chill Under Pressure. I'm Les.
I'm Adam. I'm John.
I'm Rich.
We'll see you next time.